Good morning, everybody. So Susan and I, along with everybody organizing the conference, have really been talking a lot about the message that we want to deliver to all of you. So Susan and I have worked together just on these slides to make sure that we're really giving you some tips and tricks that you can all take to your companies as individuals and employees. So just kind of going over our agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the social media landscape, just how it's changed, how we do our jobs today, and also how we're connecting with not just our audience, but also different employees. The content development strategy, maximizing that engagement, and then also circle back and give you some key takeaways. So first, sorry about that. There is no shortage of social media networks. So here's just a quick look at just the landscape as it is right now. And if you think about this and these numbers, it gives you such a massive opportunity to make sure that we are connecting with people, and also it gives us a broader landscape. So think about how many people that you all connect with just on Facebook alone, right? So a lot of times it's just family and friends. But that one message that you might send that could be shared will then, reaches a completely different audience. So one of the opportunities that I had just as an individual was I came from a news background. So I was in news when social media really got going. So it really changed how we did our jobs and then also the audience that we were delivering to. So if you take that concept and think about that, you really are able to reach a completely different audience. But really, it's about the content that you're sharing with them. Now, this landscape is continuing to change, right? So here's the approach. I can speak to just as a B2B company from Cisco and the approach that we're taking on the different platforms that we have right now. Right now, as a team, we make sure that we're always strategic. Not just the content that we're creating, but the different platforms that we're posting that content on. LinkedIn is a bit of a different audience. Our language might change a little bit. Each platform is definitely strategic, and we make sure that not just the language we're using, but the content that we're creating is all tailored to that audience. We also have a brand journalism program that just lives on our Cisco newsroom site, where we work with about 15 different writers from across the country, and actually global. We've got about 5 or 6 that are global, and they're only writing about technology trends. So they're not writing about stories that are specific to Cisco, but it's always about a topic that we care about. And we post those on our newsroom site, and also amplify them on all of our social networks. We also have, obviously, on Twitter, and then also on, sorry, I just lost my train of thought because I was talking about brand journalism. On Twitter and then on LinkedIn. Obviously, the content is tailored a little bit different. We also manage some corporate Facebook pages and make sure that the content that they're sharing is definitely in line with the messaging for Cisco.
So what are we doing about it? You probably hear a lot in your day-to-day about connecting to influencers. And that's not any new idea. You've been doing that all along, right? Whether you're in PR or external relations, as far as managing relationships with analysts or investors, whatever constituency it might be. But what's changed about that is that anyone can be influential. Anyone has that ability to have that technology in their pocket and drive a story or drive, for that matter, something that could be competitively against your brand. So it's really important to be thinking about influencers differently from adjacent spaces. And so what I mean by that, and what we're doing at IBM, is really putting together an overall strategy and also an infrastructure to make sure that we're not only real-time monitoring, but we're understanding the relationships that matter and are closest to our customers. So it's a combination of influencer identification and discovery, but also thinking about our own workforce and our employees at IBM being the technology leaders, whether they are a technical specialist, a distinguished engineer, a developer. They're the people that actually people are seeking information from. not a marketer, not a journalist, not your external relations professionals, right? They're looking for real, meaningful content from individuals that are closest to the source of what's being developed. What we've been doing is building a system of enablement, and it's a tiered model that helps our workforce to become equipped to participate in social media. So at the very bottom tier of this pyramid, what you see are our brand governance and guidelines. So first thing employees want to know is, what can I say? What should I say? How should I represent myself? What are the rules of the road? They're going to need to not only have a social media policy to follow, but they're also going to need education and training, not just about the platforms that are important to participate on, but also about the behavioral aspects of driving relationships. And the point here is the ability to engage individually, right? So anyone can create their own professional presence. It's about what you do with that presence, and especially in B2B, it's about relationships and relationship management. Nothing is stronger for a B2B company than the direct relationship with a customer or someone who influences that customer. So at the very base of this pyramid, we've built out on our intranet the Digital IBMer Hub. It is fully equipped with hundreds of on-demand training capabilities that we've built over time and we continue to refine. But essentially, as a global company, you can imagine we have our employees in countries all over the world that need access to education and training. So this portal allows us to not only deliver that initially in a recorded session, but also then on demand that's accessible at different time zones.
Key takeaways for today. Influencers are not necessarily traditional media. It can be an employee, it can be a customer, it can be an executive, it can be just an individual who is on Twitter who has a huge following that maybe used to work for media, that writes about technology, that is interested in, it could even just be a topic that you tweet about or talk about that just starts to drive a conversation. I think the key there is also to make sure you become part of that conversation and continue to be part of that conversation. Content consumption preferences have evolved. Think about YouTube. Think about Instagram. These are vehicles where, I mean, when they first started out, people probably never thought that they would get to where they are today. I think companies are using YouTube a lot more strategically than they used to. Even Instagram, where you wouldn't think that those influencers would want to share that piece of content or that picture. But again, one picture could be worth 1,000 words. You might not think it's going to make a huge impact, but the engagement that it gets and how much it's shared is really what you want. Harnessing insights from social media analytics is a must. Susan talked a lot about the key takeaways there and what they did as a company to listen, to make sure that they were looking at those analytics to help them for the next time. I think it's really about going back to what you're doing as a company when you create that content, looking at the wins, maybe looking at how you can change the strategy next time, and also to keep innovating and to keep moving forward. It's okay to take risks right now because everyone needs to do that, especially with the changing state of the landscape and all the different platforms that are out there. You've got to be able to take those risks and make sure that you're learning from those. Or maybe it doesn't work one time, but at least you know that you took the risk and that next time you have a different set of skills there.